Sepso, co-founder and president of Major League Gaming. Been an entrepreneur most of my life, and I'm also a almost 41-year-old gamer, which basically means my mom can no longer tell me to turn off my Xbox. But she does. MLG, for anyone who's not familiar with it. Basically, a friend of mine and I, my best friend, were sitting on his couch about 11 years ago, playing probably our 70th game of that day, yelling at each other, screaming, betting on games, that kind of thing. And I said, you know, we can't do this for the rest of our lives. We're going to have to either get jobs or turn this into a company. So we went online and kind of scoured what's happening among people playing online, and we realized, hey, you know what? There's something here. The competition part of gaming is what's really fun and what's driving people to do it more and more. And it's getting to the point where people are organizing small competitions in real life. And so we had the idea, which was, you know, if it's already here, it's happening, and people are doing it, why can't we turn it into the next great professional sports league? Why is this any different than driving a car around an oval for 5 hours? So we actually spent a lot of time researching how sports leagues were started. So we launched this thing, and we had no business launching it, to be honest with you, other than having some entrepreneurial experience and having built a company before that. We had never worked in the video game industry, didn't know anybody that worked in the video game industry, nothing to do with the video game industry, except that we bought a lot of video games. What I learned along the way was, hey, we had this cool vision, we had this thing that we were going to do, we started contacting people that were interested in it, people got excited about it, so did we. And then I learned creating something new with that big of a vision is really, really, really hard. So we thought, hey, we're going to do this big thing, it's going to be Madison Square Garden, it's going to be enormous on TV and all that kind of stuff, and then this was our first event. So you can see, I don't know if you can see the duct tape, but there's a lot of it. This was in the basement of a hotel in Philadelphia. It was really underwhelming. But to build something new, you guys start at the bottom. And believe it or not, this was like 10 times better than what was going on out there at Fort Bend. So we kept building. What we had to do, though, was do this a lot. So for 3 years, we did 12 of these a year. And what I realized is people a lot of times tell you, like, oh, cool, you're an entrepreneur, you do what you love all day, you're up here. I don't know. It's not what it's about. You don't do what you love. I love sitting on the beach, drinking cocktails, having coconut. Nobody pays me for that. You have to do what you can stay passionate about. So really, it's about, you're going to go through tons and tons of stuff to try to do something. And it doesn't have to be being an entrepreneur. It can just be any career. Whether you want to cure cancer or make a really cool video game company. Either way, you're going to go through a lot of very difficult things. And being able to stay passionate about something is what's critical. Not that you love it, not that it's the cool and exciting thing, because I don't play video games all day. That's not what I do, right? I fire people, I look at lots of spreadsheets, I deal with banks, and all kinds of stuff like that. If you didn't, at the end. If you can't stay passionate about it, basically you're not going to get up out of bed on, 10 years later, like I still have to tomorrow morning to go do this again. So I think don't necessarily do what you love, do what you can stay passionate about. Is a lesson I definitely learned. And when you do that, here was 6 years into it, or 5 years into it. We kind of nailed it. This is what I was thinking when we were sitting on that couch and saying, like, hey, this is really cool. Not only did it look good, and there was 5,000 people there watching, but it's also on TV. We got a TV deal with the USA Network, so we were broadcasting and stuff on television on Sundays, just like eSports. Pretty cool. The kids that were playing, not kids anymore, but we're becoming professionals. They got to not have a real job and play Halo for them, which was very cool. At the same time, this is happening in different parts of the world. In Korea, where it really all started, it was getting huge. Mostly playing computer games like StarCraft, not Xbox and PlayStation games, but it's getting really big. And this was exciting. And we raised lots and lots of venture capital money, like $45 million in 1 year. And what I realized was, yeah, that was really cool. This is what we thought it was going to be like, but it didn't really do it. And as much as we had planned and sort of thought about this and built it over and over and over again. The reality is, you guys have probably heard this before, it's famous military saying from some Prussian field general. No battle plan survives any first contact with the enemy, meaning all of your preparation is really more like practice. It's not going to go according to plan. And this is kind of going back to do what you stay passionate about. Because what you envision in the beginning is not what you're going to wind up with. You're going to go somewhere else along the way because your customers or the market or any kind of external force. In our case, News Corp at 2 different times launched 2 major competitors against us to try to criticize it. It wasn't that much fun. So this is really a critical lesson. You plan, you have to plan, you prepare, you do everything you can, you envision exactly what's going to happen, and then none of that will happen. But because you prepared and because you kind of expect that, you can deal with it. And we did. So this is what it looks like now. A lot bigger than that last picture, right? This was from a couple of months ago in Dallas, Texas. This is just one of the 3 arenas that we now produce in the US. There's about 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 people watching this game. This is StarCraft, which almost everybody that wins these things is Korean and flying out to Korea. But amazing game, really cool to watch, and so we did it. We got there. We had it on TV and all that kind of stuff. I thought, everything was going according to plan. That's now 7 years ago. Didn't work, and we got back into it and keep trying and turning it into something. And this is what it is now. Not only were there about 20,000 people there that weekend to watch this live, but there were 2.7 million people watching the live stream online. And watching for about 3.5 hours every time they tuned in. So it looks like you were watching. Which is really cool. If you sort of think about it, the average tune-in time for the Super Bowl is 1.5 hours. So getting people to watch 3.5 hours or something is pretty cool. This is it. Now it's starting to work, right? So now we get this thing called the product market fit. This is a very kind of well-known concept in especially the tech startup world, just in terms of kind of thinking about how you build businesses and that kind of thing. Essentially, what this means is, to sum it up, bring it down to its core level, product market fit means you nailed it, you got it. Somebody wants to buy what you're selling, and there's enough validation for that you can see how to scale it out to millions of people instead of just the core group we're doing. So this is where we've gotten to now. We have our product market fit. It's a critical concept. I think it is a concept that extends beyond business or certainly beyond just tech startups, but into any kind of business. Really anything that you're doing where you need to aggregate lots of people to care about something. Product market fit means you've got something that people really care about, and you can extend it out with minor pivots here and there to build a bigger base. So that's where we got to now. Now we've got tens of thousands of people coming to watch these things, and millions watching online. Fantastic, right? Now you got your product market fit, and there's all these people staring at you. So this is what it looks like when kids on stage basically playing, walking into the box to play for $50,000 or $100,000, and a few thousand people staring at you. You know that there's millions of them watching you online. This is kind of what it feels like when you hit that product market fit as an entrepreneur. You fight, kind of get your head down, you're in the grind, figuring it out, and then all of a sudden people like it. And then they're staring at you. And now what? Now you turn into a business. And so all that cool video game stuff then turns into things like this. Bunch of numbers, trying to sell things to advertisers, it looks really cool. The numbers are cool, there's lots of people watching and all that stuff, but now I'm sitting on the couch playing Halo. This is not what I envisioned my job would be 10 years later. The cool thing is, you love it, and you're doing it, and you're successful, and you keep building it. And if you do that right, you've basically mastered this process, which is you innovate. You think of something new and creative that's a solution to people's problems, or something that people want in the entertainment case, which is what we do. And you test it over and over. You either test it in small cases, like you just go out and ask your friends if that sounds cool or not, or you test it against millions and millions of people and you see if they'll watch for 3 hours. And if they do, you got something. You keep iterating, and you keep building it, and then you go back to the beginning, you innovate again, you test it, you iterate over and over and over again. No matter what it is, you really bring everything down to innovate, test, iterate, over and over and over again. And if you do that, you win. This is the young guy named, his tag is Life. Nobody goes by their real names in the game. It's all cool tags. He's a Korean guy who lives in Seoul. He won our last StarCraft 2 Pro Circuit championship. And this guy, to me, kind of epitomizes the grind. He was not the favorite to win. He's not the best player in Korea by any stretch of the imagination, let alone the rest of the world. But he grinded. This guy plays StarCraft 10 to 12 hours a day, every day. I know it doesn't sound like work, but once you're doing it for that long, it's just work. And he's playing against top people in the world, living with them, eating and breathing, and living the game. And he won. And he walked out of there with like $50,000 and probably an extra $500,000 in sponsorship deals. But that's what it feels like, and that's what MLG is all about. And I think that's kind of what entrepreneurship is all about. Thank you.